I'm always like, representative. Like, I want to talk to a person real quick. Like, I mean, I'll be the first to blow a deal up. Even bad humor can be good humor because it can make people have a chuckle and everything like that. And I think if you can make people chuckle or have a laugh, if I think it's not the right thing for my clients, you can't measure, you're not going to know where you're sort of having that weakness. And everyone's a real estate agent. Everyone has a license.
Hey everyone, and welcome. Welcome to another episode of Ask the Experts podcast, where we bring you stories from dynamic, multifaceted professionals who are shaping their industries with passion and authority. Today, I'm excited to welcome Roy Lynam. He is a former Division One pro athlete. He's an ATP tennis player, a real estate expert, and actor. He has acted in 100 plus roles, and Roy is known for his authentic humor, sharp instincts, and always putting his clients' interests first. Let's get started, whereby Roy, we're going to learn from sports discipline and business savvy, and how Roy is has the ability to have killer deals and really work the room, and how he connects with global networks. So I'm excited. Let's give a warm welcome to Roy Lynam.
Well, thank you very much.
Amazing.
Happy.
So absolutely. Really appreciate your time, Roy. So I do want to start by, you have a very extensive background. How does your unique background as a sports athlete, and as a pro ATP tennis player, how do these discipline, how has it shaped the approach as a real estate expert, and also the approach when it comes to client relationships? How is it blended? How all these blended together?
Yeah, I think in anything, almost in sports and in business, just discipline and the routine and the repetition in the practice and scheduling. So when I moved to Florida to pursue a professional tennis career, I was training 6 or 7 hours a day, so it was pretty consistent and repetitive, and that was the job. So you have to enjoy the on-court work, the repetitions, and everything like that. And I think from there, just having that discipline to be able to maintain that type of schedule when there's not much else going on. I mean, it's tennis, and then managing the downtime, make sure you're eating properly,
Mhm.
still working out, hitting the gym and whatnot, and then getting ready for your matches. Well, if you want to be successful in business, you have to be able to still implement some type of routine and be able to follow that and stick to it. And you're not always going to have a great day, but you have to make sure that it's one day part of the process and stay with it.
Absolutely, 100%. They do both go hand in hand, your business and your professional uh, career, your professional life, they do go hand in hand. And um, I would say it's the mindset, because as a pro athlete, any athletes that we see, it's your mindset, and how, cultivating the mindset, that strong mindset. What would you say are the keys to having the mindset, but then sustaining the mindset of any endeavor that you get into?
That's a good question. Well, also, I want to preface too. So I appreciate, and yes, technically I played professional tennis, but in case somebody starts to Google and see if I'm telling the truth or not. So there's different levels in professional tennis. What people see mostly on TV is the top majors and top 100 people are getting into these tournaments. Then you have the challengers, which is the top 250. But then the next level, and almost even the tougher to grind and get out, is the futures and satellites. So
Mhm.
that's where I was. I just never was able to get out of there and move up. So eventually, I had to hang up the rackets and finish up school, and then got into business. But so back to your question, you were asking sort of the keys.
The
Just
mindset. Yeah.
yeah. Um, you know, set goals, but I think it's important to be realistic and almost sympathetic to yourself for what is attainable in what kind of time frame. It's not a sprint.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's not but it's a marathon. So I think when I did first get back into playing tennis after taking some time off, I expected results maybe quicker than they were gonna be able to get there. And that took a toll also too mentally because I'm putting in the work. How come I'm not getting the results? So I think in business, I think it's important just to have realistic expectations, set a timetable, and then pivot and readjust once you've come up to that time frame, whether it's a week, whether it's a month, 3 months, and then just stay the course for what you think can accomplish in that, and then always reassess.
Absolutely. There's always that element of reassessment, because as entrepreneurs or an athlete, you're always like reassessing, okay, where were you today and where do you aspire to go? And if you don't have those metrics, would you say it is important to have those metrics as an athlete to where you are, to where you aspire to be? Because how do you know you're achieving those goals? Or in
Oh,
business as well?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to know your numbers. If you want to use tennis as an example, how fast is my first serve, or what's the percentage of my second serves that I'm making? Then you see all the numbers of, okay, when I'm returning, how many am I getting back in play? So
Yeah.
just like that, I want to work on the things that I'm not as strong in. But if you're going to be in business, you have to know your numbers, what you're spending on marketing, what's your revenue coming in, and just be able to clock. Because if you can't measure, you're not going to know where you're sort of having that weakness. And uh, I think it's important to kind of work on your weaknesses to bring them up to match your strengths.
Absolutely. Your career spanning as a pro athlete, then acting as a real estate expert, what are the common skills, the mindset patterns? We just talked about mindset, but what are the common skills and mindset patterns you see, or that you've seen all throughout your life, but what you see in all these fields as a pro athlete, as a real estate, or in acting? What would you say are the common skills or the mindset when it comes to it?
So it's a little tougher to speak from the sports aspect since it's been 20 something years.
Right. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um, but from business and from acting, it's really just sort of understanding sort of the room and the space you're in with the people,
Mhm.
kind of knowing where you fit in, sort of in the ranking or ladder. Don't try to speak too much if you're not in the position to sort of control the room and whatnot, but also just making sure everyone is comfortable with your presence, whether that means being a good listener, acting. If you are when you are acting, listening is a big component, and then reacting and kind
Mhm.
of being natural in the moment. But just when you go on castings, or if you're in business with real estate and clients, just sort of knowing how to sort of control the room and not make anything too uncomfortable or awkward, and make them feel comfortable themselves.
Exactly, exactly. So true. I mean, those are one of the skills that you do need when you're working in the room, 100%. Can you share a story whereby, your instinct abilities to read the room and to use humor, how's it, um, how have you found, because for some, that instinct ability to read the room or to read individuals, it doesn't come easily. But how have you found that your abilities to read the room? Can you share with us how, is there a secret? What goes into, or how does one develop the skill?
Um, I think like any skill, you have to put yourself in the rooms. I know it's hard. Not everybody wants to be sort of out and about. They might be introvert, and look, I'm an introvert. I think in a lot of respects, uh, but I also have some extrovert tendencies. Um, I think it stems from early on just wanting to make people laugh and entertain, and it's probably how I ended up becoming an actor. Um, but I think I would say, yeah, get yourself in those rooms.
Mhm.
You don't have to be the loudest or the most talkative, but really just find ways to at least make your presence felt in a positive way. And sometimes that doesn't mean you have to say much. Uh, People just being warm, nice, cordial, listening, not trying to steal the spotlight or anything like that can really leave a long-lasting mark. And I
Mhm.
like to use humor too. So uh, even bad humor can be good humor because uh, it can make people have a chuckle and everything like that. And I think if you can make people chuckle or have a laugh, um, that can have a long-lasting impact.
Absolutely. Well, humor or a smile, it goes a long way. And even if someone is an introvert, like you said, if you're an introvert, but if you can have that light side of you, I think people, not only do they appreciate, but it just makes the whole situation just so much better. It makes them feel light
Yeah.
because you don't come across serious. And I think that's just a wonderful skill to have. That you
Yeah.
can
I mean,
make someone feel so warm.
yeah. And isn't it nicer when you're in a business setting and you think that everyone already is a salesperson and they're going to be sold something? If you can just kind of relax and make it more conversational and have them kind of loosen their guard by laughing and taking it away
Mhm.
from the, I think it just gets them to want to listen or they'll be more willing to listen to the next thing you have to say. And then you can always find ways to pivot and whatnot, but let their guard down. Laughing relaxes the muscles. So.
Absolutely. Exactly. How do you leverage your global networks from sports to business to create that unique opportunities? Can you share with us?
I think it's just listening to the opportunities as they come across. If somebody's speaking and they mention something, you have a pretty good visual or Rolodex of, oh, I need to connect you with Alka. She'd be great, and she's up in your network area up in Canada. Um, so I think it's really sort of just, again, it comes down to listening, being a good listener. And when you come across something that if I'm not able to assist in, I usually have a pretty good idea of who I can direct or introduce somebody to, and then hopefully add value to both parties by making a good connection.
Exactly. Always comes down to adding value.
Yeah.
How goes a long way. And yes, absolutely. What lessons from your story in real estate, business, acting has changed your views on how you see the success, not only in your life, but the success of your clients? Can you share a story with us
Uh, well,
in your life or your clients?
so success for me in a lot of ways is just knowing that the clients from start to finish, and then even after the fact,
Hmm.
are happy
Hmm.
with the decision that they made, whether it was to buy or sell or something like that, and be able to maintain that follow up and relationship and kind of have that uh, affirmation that we did the right thing. I mean, you mentioned it in the intro. I mean, I'll be the first to blow a deal up if I think it's not the right thing for my clients because they can't maybe see a couple of holes, maybe if you want to call it, or something that just doesn't fit or line up that they were maybe not paying attention to because it looked so good. Everything else was looking so good. They got distracted. But it's like, well, listen, even a very subtle thing where this driveway is not going to be big enough for the amount of cars that you guys are going to need, and that's going to be a pain in the butt. It's like, and that could be a multi-million dollar deal that came down to a driveway that they might not have noticed because the house itself was so perfect and checked all the boxes. But it's like, wait, but the driveway and that, little details like that go a long way. So for me, happiness with my clients is really not being happy leading up and getting to the closing table, but it's like even after the fact, uh, just knowing that they are still happy and
Hmm.
then we go again for another round.
Exactly. Well, happiness is the key. And I was talking to another guest yesterday. She's an interior designer based in New York, but we were talking about, from her standpoint, she has a very unique approach when it comes to interior design. She uses both mindfulness and wellness. So I know during pandemic, at that time it was, it was about people's health and well-being. And correct me if I'm wrong, but even the real estate, when they were building condominiums, it was more in the line of how they were taking care of their customers for their health and well-being. The bathrooms were like a spa-like feel. So that's what, you know, the
Yeah,
developers were building.
yeah, especially as you get into the nicer buildings and stuff
Hmm.
like that, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, bathrooms are a big ticket item. So, the bathrooms that wow can certainly help overlook some of the other features for sure.
Exactly. The bathrooms and the kitchens,
Yep.
it's a feature that customers love.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kitchens that you see it, that's where you spend most of your time, and then especially women. Look, I enjoy a good bath myself too. I don't have them. I'm not like constant bath guy, but I know Katie, she likes hers, and yeah, you gotta have a nice little bathroom setup.
Absolutely. Oh, tell me about real estate. You're based in Florida. How do you see the market in Florida and how do you navigate the challenges whilst tapping into your extensive international networks?
Well, yeah, it's been an interesting time wherever you are. Sort of, I think Florida benefits from a lot because it's a popular destination to come
Mm,
to with the friendly taxes and you know very flexible with business and stuff like that. So you're seeing a lot of people coming in, but like anywhere, there's going to be some pockets here and there that maybe aren't moving as fast, but
mhm.
um, Florida's always going to be a place where people are going to be thinking about coming, whether it's for their own personal stuff or a lot of my relationships are with business and they're international. So it's a very business friendly state. So a lot of people are looking to kind of move and relocate and kind of make Florida their main hub. So really just trying to stay on top of the new developments. There's a lot of the cities nearby. I'm in Delray, so West Palm is really going through a massive growth um, development. Miami obviously is always been, and that's been going crazy. But and so really just kind of keeping my ears open and seeing who is maybe looking to make Florida a thing and see how we go from there.
Right. What are some of the biggest misconceptions that you probably see or you have seen when it comes to, um, how people have about real estate agents that do they want to work with them? So just share with us if anybody wants to get into real estate to become an agent, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that you probably hear of?
everyone's a real estate agent. Everyone has a license. um, yeah, I think it's if somebody is thinking about getting into real estate, um, it's a great industry to get into, but
Mhm.
I would make sure that you can manage yourself and your time because you're not reporting necessarily to an office. There's no paycheck coming in. It's we work on commission, so you have to sort of be. And this is where knowing your numbers comes into play. So you can kind of calculate what your earnings are based off of average and whatnot. But there's going to be you're not clocking in and getting a paycheck because you're going to work for 8 hours on a given day or whatnot. So
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, yeah, just kind of be personable. Kind of have your clients and the people sort of best interest. You help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. So the referrals will be there, the new business will be there, and just do right.
Exactly. I think that's a key point there too. Just do right. Because there are some, I mean, from what I hear, real estate agent, because then, there's a dime a dozen, there's always that competition. And there could be, some agents vying for that deal. So if you're not ethical, if you're not doing it in a way that serves you or your clients, because you're always like vying or you're competing
Yeah,
for that deal. Do you find that too, that there's so much competition? It's kind of
yeah,
cutthroat kind of thing.
yeah. It can be cutthroat. I saw that back in the tennis on the futures
Mhm.
tours. Like you're playing matches without umpires, so there was a lot of cheating that was going on because depending on somebody's necessity to make tennis work for them, they were willing to do almost anything. And then, of
Mhm.
course, when there's a dispute, then you get the lines judge, and you have to go back to the last score you both can agree on. So in business, real estate's no different. But because everyone's fighting for that commission,
Mhm.
um, yeah, there are going to be some tactics that I don't necessarily agree with. Um, I think I generally try not to get too involved or look, I'm not going to be everybody's agent, but those that I am, I'm going to make sure that they get 100% and get taken care of. But I'm not looking to I'm not looking to I don't know do anything that's going to jeopardize how I think about myself or the people or anyone else bad mouthing me because I had to do something to steal or take over or do something
Hmm.
like I kind of want everyone to be happy. I know that sometimes that uh, you have to be tough sometimes in business. I'm sure you know. But yeah, again, at the end of the day, just be able to go to bed at night knowing you did the right thing.
Hmm. Exactly, exactly. That is so true. As long as that, we can live by that, that we've done the right thing. We don't, steal. We don't take other people's clients, other agents' clients, but we do the right thing. So I absolutely agree with that. Talking of, it's a perfect segue. Our listeners who want to get into real estate, who are aspiring to get into real estate, what is the one advice or what advice would you give to people who want to adapt and excel in the real estate field?
Yeah, well, so I would say uh, you're gonna get through the real estate test. It's the worst test ever. That doesn't help you become a realtor. It's kind of mind-boggling that the real estate exam is still sort of the process, but that's probably the system for a lot of careers where you have to take this test that is so uh, technical with details that have nothing to do with actually doing the business of real estate.
Hmm.
But again, it goes back to being able to self-manage and know that only you are in control of your time and efforts, and you get rewarded for what you put in. Um, so there's a lot of folks that are not going to be doing the work, and you know they kind of go quietly into the night. So yeah, just be able to be self-manageable and control your own time.
Hmm. I think that's the key, controlling your own time, controlling yourself, managing your schedule, and technically it is your business. So managing your time, and it's very rewarding to become a real estate agent or investor, because it's just beautiful to see that.
Yeah.
And talk absolutely. And talking of which, where do you see the future of real estate, and how are you preparing to adapt?
Uh, oh well, I mean, yeah, AI is probably coming in a lot of ways, like a lot of other industries. But I mean, the laws that kind of changed recently. I don't know, with like the whole buyer broker agreement, and
Mhm.
you can't talk about commissions on listings and stuff
Oh
like that.
wow.
It's like this taboo word. There was some good things that came out of that. I think it also confused unnecessary in an unnecessary way a lot of the consumers, buyers, and sellers in the market because um, at the end of the day, agents are going to get paid. It's just now there's this notion that, well, it's just funny how there was a huge class action lawsuit that the lawyers did very well on, and the
Mhm.
lawyers are charging 30, 35%, and yet the lawsuit was over this measly 2 or 3% that uh, agents are getting compensated for. So it's a little funny when you kind of think of it like that. But um, so just adapting to be able to communicate to either a buyer or a seller what happened, why the law changed, but really the practice of real estate hasn't really changed much. It's just now things are more everything's negotiable, which it was before, but
Mhm.
now for some reason they think it's more negotiable, which it should have always been negotiable. And that's the thing with bad agents in the past. If they were forcing something and not explaining everything, I like to make sure that all my clients they don't have any questions or they're not unsure about something that we're doing. So I like to be very informative, make sure they understand the entire process. Um, but right now, I think it's just important to be extremely communicative with clients so they understand sort of the changes, but how while things are different,
Mhm.
they're still very much the same. So don't get
Right.
too bogged down with what you're hearing in the media and stuff like that. Commissions are going to get paid,
Mhm.
and you know, so just educational.
Absolutely. Yes, so the future for real estate, talking about the trends, talking about the future, how does AI play a role? How does AI play a role in real estate in general? Because, our real estate agents using AI, just share with our audience, how can they start to implement AI, integrate AI into their business?
Well, I think they're using it, and myself, with marketing and branding. Social media is a big thing. Creating the content so people can see what you're doing. And in terms of the relationship aspect with clients, you still have to have that personal ability to work with the clients. But there's going to be questions possibly about a contract or an item, and you're going to want to use AI in some fashion to sort of help elevate if you don't understand something yourself, or what's the best way to approach this situation. I'm dealing with another agent and we're working over a property. Here's what's going on. Help me navigate to make sure that I'm helping my clients in the best way. So, and then taking that information and being able to use it to try to make sure your clients win out.
Yes, I do agree. I mean, with any industry, whether it's tech or, medicine, AI will be there. It can do everything that maybe a surgeon can or a doctor, but a human element always has to be there. Humans cannot be, um, replaced, but it's good that with the AI, it just makes the process more faster and, more efficient. But the
Oh,
human element is still going to be there.
yeah. Yep. I mean, and we see that you see that in every industry. I think
Mhm.
I don't know what industry AI, unless it's uh, customer service, a lot of times or call centers. Are you seeing as many of those, like now you have to chat with an AI bot or something like that, and they answer questions, but man, I'm always like representative. Like I want to talk to a person real quick. Like I don't want this robot runaround, but they're taking over and companies want you to deal with the AI first
Right.
because it's cheaper, and they
Mhm.
hope that maybe they can solve it without having to actually tap into a human. But man, I wish I have a love-hate relationship with AI. I'm not gonna lie.
And
Are
I
you
do.
liking it a lot? Are you liking it? Do you love it? You have a mixed feelings about it? I mean, how
Well,
do you feel about it?
I was just gonna agree with your sentiments because I do agree to an extent that although AI is gonna make a whole lot of any industry that we're in, making it more easier, faster, more streamlined. I agree with that. But if we look back in the 80s, how you would call customer service, whether it be Rogers or anyone, you would just get through an agent, a customer service. They will come through. But now it seems like because everything, the way technology is going, press one for this, press five for this, and holy, I want to, just like you, I want to speak to somebody. I don't want to wait 2 hours on the line to speak to someone.
Yeah,
So how is that efficient? It's not.
I know. They give you like eight options, and then
Yeah.
it should be universal that you could press zero to get the operator, but sometimes seven or eight, the last one. If you want to talk to a person, press eight. It's like, oh, I had to listen to all of those, and then yeah, it's just
Exactly. Then you just hang up.
yeah, it's not worth it.
Exactly. It's not worth it. Well, Roy, this has been such an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for your time today. Can you share with us where can people connect with you and how can we support you best?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate it. Well, if you want to kind of know any of the films and stuff that I've been in, you can always check out my IMDb page. The list of all the movies, a lot of them are available on Prime, or I had a couple just come out on Lifetime Movie Network. So if you want to see a potential realtor on TV, the big screen as well, you can always check those out. And then yeah, you can always just find me at, I have, I guess, do I give out phone numbers on here or?
Yeah, go for it. But how can people connect with you? Like social media,
Yeah, no, so
how
yeah,
can we
obviously
contact? Yeah.
social media is a great one. I'm on Instagram, the real estate movie guy.
Mhm.
So you'll be able to see a good blend of real estate and movie stuff on there. And so I think Instagram is probably the best one. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Roy Lynam at LinkedIn, and Facebook, of course. So I think social media is a great first way because you're going to want to see, everybody wants to see sort of who somebody is, maybe before they reach out. So yeah, take a peek. And if it looks like we'll have some fun together and I'll be able to help you, then I'd love to have you reach out.
Absolutely. And we will put that in the show notes. So thank you so much, Roy, for taking out your time. Thank you for sharing the incredible insights, your journey as a pro Division One athlete, pro ATP tennis player, real estate expert, and acting. Featured over 100 plus movies. And you are such an inspiration for anyone wanting to get into all these endeavors. And thank you to you all for tuning in today. We appreciate and we want you to, if you've enjoyed this conversation, make sure to leave us a review, subscribe to the channel so we bring you more dynamic, multifaceted guests such as Roy Lynam. And we will see you until next time. Bye for now. Thank you, Roy. I really appreciate that was amazing.
Oh, thank you, Alka.